All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is August 21st, 2017. It's a Monday night, and we had a full solar eclipse today. And the title of tonight's webinar is How to Box in the BoxCLOpen. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, real quick before we get started, just want to let everybody know that this particular way that I'm going to show tonight, seems to work out pretty well for some of our people that use it all the time. Now, I would highly recommend, doing several times in sim, things like that, just to make sure that you're pleased with the results and things like that. But I'm going to show you tonight, until we get the time trader, that is. Now, everybody in the room knows that we're actually working on time trader. So the time trader will actually just draw a box at the particular time you want, and you'll be able to have it activated or not activated. Okay. So first off, let's go over exactly how you would set up your chart first. Okay. Just remember that the oil open is actually 8 a.m. Central Time. Of course, if you're in New York, it's going to be 9 a.m. naturally, and if you're in California, it's going to be 7 a.m. So we set our box to be 1 minute before that. So simply go right click and go to your indicators, okay? And scroll down to time regions, all right? And then just make sure you've got it set. See, like I've got this one set already for today because we're going back on market replay like I do on my webinars. All right, so 7:59 is what I would simply set that for. I can set it for basically 4 ticks offset. Simply means that if you take a bar of whatever size you're using, you're basically splitting the bar. Like say for instance, a 4-tick bar, it's going to simply do this. Let's just draw a 4-tick bar. Bear with me a second. Didn't get the right one. I need my line. Sorry about that. All right, let's just draw. We'll pretend that's 4 ticks, okay? It's probably more than that. But the way this actually does is it just simply starts in the middle of the bar, okay? Let's see if we can make the bar look almost like it's in the middle here. Okay, it starts in the middle of the bar and it goes 4 ticks up and 4 ticks down. So what it's going to basically do is draw a box on the particular bar for 8 ticks. Okay, so you're going to get a bar, a box, something like that, more than likely, because it would be 4 ticks up and 4 ticks down, right? And if you're in the middle of a bar, you're 2 ticks. So 2 plus 2 is 4, and 2 plus 2 is 4. So you'll have an 8-tick box. Everybody understand that? Now, the reason for that is because we want to be able to basically draw over 2 bars. We're actually looking to draw kind of over 2 bars. And so when you set it up like this, you simply set it for my time, since it's Central Time, is 7:59. All right. Now I go through each and every day and I set the opening of the equity market. I set the 1 minute after, and I set 2 minutes after. I set 9 a.m., which is a good time for markets to kind of turn. And then I also set high energy times. Okay. And then when you do that, you just simply, click that and then save that as your template each day like that, and then you just simply go to your other charts and load it. Now I've already got it loaded for time's sake and everything. Okay, so that's what you've got to do to get the box to form to begin with. Okay, because we want that box to form at 7:59 so that we can actually trade it. Okay, anybody having a question so far? Do you sync your computer clock every day? I've got mine synced with that Windows deal. You can actually go to Windows. Let me just show that real quick. That's a very good point. Bear with me a second. Let's see. Do they have time and regions anymore, or did they change that? Yeah, it's just called regions. Let me bring this up here. Location, administrative, or that's additional setting. This is a little different on Windows 10, so I'll have to look that up, but I've got it synced with time.gov or time.nist or something like that. Okay? So I won't show that because I don't see where to find it on Windows 10. It used to have time and region when I was on Windows 7, so I'll have to find that again. Okay? Now, everybody, once you do this, get your little boxes ready to draw, then you want to make sure Object Trader is also ready. Now, the way one of our guys that actually trades this, he actually makes a workspace for his opening, and then he also makes another workspace for his regular trading. Now, what I did is I just simply did another one, and I called it Equity Open. All right, and there's, for instance, a workspace that, let's say that this was 5 charts. I didn't have time to do all 5 charts, but this would be your workspace for regular trading, and you would have your other workspace for your box, for your boxes. Okay, that way you could simply go from one to the other, fairly quickly and be ready to trade other types of trades. Let's see, I had heard that it's good to mark the open because the market will return to where it opened 50% of the time. Now, Mindy, you can actually do that if you want. Let me show everybody how to do that. If you want to mark the open for it to stay, see where that says 30-minute duration? You can actually change that to 60 minutes, 120 minutes, 480 minutes. It'll keep drawing that box all the way across your chart if you want it to. Okay, because they do, you're right. They return, lots of times, and you get some good bounce areas and things like that. We normally just put our boxes for 30 minutes, just simply so you don't have so many on your chart. But if you want to do the time, the main time one, and maybe use a particular color or something like that, even a different opacity, you can. See, this is 40% opacity. You can change it to 5 for 50% or all the way to 10. Of course, keep in mind, if it's 10, you wouldn't even be able to see the bars because 10 means full opacity. In other words, it would just be with no opacity to be able to see it. Let's see, trade, type of trade. Just a second, I'm reading. Yeah, California, of course, would be 6 a.m., so you would simply put yours at 5:59. So with the opening box, you want to take a scalp is always with no bias. Basically, that is what a lot of our people do, and it seems to work quite well, because you notice, for instance, that, I might even be long, like, for instance, on, as the room opens. And isn't it unreal that that's when it decides to retrace? And with those boxes, you can actually literally be ready to go the other direction for those, 10 ticks or so. Okay. So now let's talk about setting Object Trader up. Okay. And you want to set Object Trader up on each and every chart. So just simply right click and go to Object Trader. All right. Now you can set this for a particular template if you want. For instance, if I wanted to do, let's say, 10 ticks, and maybe I want to do, say, 4 contracts on a $5 instrument, I could even do like this, 10 and 10, and then do this one as like my runner, like even, who knows, 40 or something like that. You see what I mean? And then you can right click and set that as your default, or you could simply set it as a template and pull it up at any time you want. For instance, I could save this as open. Might call it oil open. You see what I mean? Whoop. Like that. Okay. And then I could simply call this template up on all 4 of these charts. All 4 of the next ones. Eclipse has kind of got my tongue today or something. I don't know. Okay. Everybody see that? So, whatever you set this for here, you can set it as a template, or you can set it as your default to be that way forever. And each time you pull it up, if you set it as default, it will pull up as that particular default. However, you've changed everything in your parameters. But if you want just templates, you just simply tell it, I want to save this as, for instance, my oil open. And then, of course, when you get ready to load your oil open, you can simply load it. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and do this one. Oh, and let's go ahead and set it for since it'll be a template, let's just go ahead and set it for the amount of contracts that we even want on here. Okay. So I've got a max quantity of 10. And let's see if we want to go ahead and set it for, I will just leave it at the 1 here. We'll leave this alone because I don't want to mess it up for my trading tomorrow or anything. So we'll go ahead and load that. All right. Now, once you load it, notice that it depends on how your resolution is and everything. See how most of Object Trader is blocked off? You have to pretty much do this to be able to set everything up the way you want it. Okay. So I'm going to set this up with 4. Okay. I've got it set for 10, 10, 10, and 40. All right. And I'm going to simply draw a region whenever that box shows up. Okay. So this chart is ready to go. I think I'll put it on like 15 ticks instead of 20. I don't want to lose 20 ticks. All right. And then I just simply go to my next chart and do it the same way. All right. Then I go to right click, go to strategy. We'll load our template, which is right here, load, oil open. Click it. Make sure it's absolutely what we want. This is a $10, so I'm only going to do 3 on it. All right. Notice that it's 10, 10, 10, and 40. So probably on this one, we'd want to actually change the runner if we wanted to do something with this one. Let's just go ahead and do 4 on it too, just since we've got a runner already set. Okay. So that chart's ready to go, and we're going to set it for 15 ticks also. All right. And all you got to do is each one of your charts, just simply do this. And I'd already had Object Trader loaded, but I wanted to show you how to use it with the templates. Oil open. We'll set this one for 4. NASDAQ takes a minute longer. Bear with it just a second. There we go. All right. We're going to set that one for 4, and we're going to set it for 15 ticks. And then you just do it with your other charts. It's real easy to do, okay? This is pre-time that basically you get your charts set up and ready to go for your trades. And the reason that Greg, for instance, that uses this particular method, he likes to have a separate workspace because he can have it totally ready to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and load oil open. Turn that back to true. Set it for 4 contracts. We'll do 15 ticks. And I don't use a break-even trigger. You certainly can if you want to. All right, we're ready to go. And then we got one more chart to go. We're going to do load the template again. Oil open. And this is YM, so we're going to do 4 on it also. Do this with 15 ticks, 10, 10, and 40, and we're ready to go. Okay. Now you'll notice on all of my charts now, Object Trader is totally ready to roll, but we haven't hit the time period yet because it's 7:40 in the morning by this little counter. Okay. So until we get Time Trader fixed where it'll actually be totally ready to roll, for instance, when we get Time Trader working with the way this region will do, you're going to be able to set all your charts and do this automatically. Let's see, since your max is 10, you will only get some of those trades. No, the max of 10 means per chart. So you got to be real careful with your max numbers because that max number is only per chart. If I set up 3 charts for Russell with 10, I could trade 30 contracts. Not that I would ever want to do that, but you could. Okay, so the max number of contracts is just strictly per chart. Okay, so let's go ahead and count this forward and let's see if we can show this little trading. I'll go ahead and set this down beside, and then we'll watch for the box. Okay, just let it count. I'll speed it up a little bit until we get to about 7:55. Let's see if we can get, hopefully I don't get there too quick. That's pretty good right there. That's 7:50, so we've got 10 minutes before the market opens, right? Okay, so we're going to wait till that box forms, and then we're going to put a region around it. Okay, now like I say, when I get Time Trader finished, this is going to do this automatically for you. Okay, because we're going to have to do each one of these charts in real time with this thing actually moving. And once it gets to 7:55 or so, I'm going to put it back on play only. That way we don't get anything too fast for me to react to. Okay, there we go. We're at 7:56 and 44 seconds. All right, let's just let it do its thing. It'll click over the box in 3 minutes. Let's speed it up just a little bit more. Don't want it to go too fast. Get it to about 7:58 and we'll be good to go. There we go. All right, we got 1 minute to go. All right. So when 7:59 gets here, the box that I'm going to draw is simply the one that shows up here. Okay, so we got 42 seconds, 40 seconds now. Okay, so we're waiting and we're waiting. The little box shows up. Remember, I've got that set for 7:59. So in 28 seconds, it'll show that little white box. Now, what you have to do to trade it is you have to actually turn these on, and you have to click Insert on each of these charts. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. 10 seconds, the little box will show up. Little box should have shown up. Why didn't the box show up? Good question. There it is on this chart. There we go. Okay, now let me pause this for just 1 second because I want to tell you some things about this real quick. See how that box is forming right there right now? This is your little box right here on Russell. Okay, now you can go, if you want to, don't go against the power meter 1 or 2. If you don't want to, that is, you know, if however you want to trade this is totally fine, but be careful for fakes. You know, for instance, even though this is green here, this is red here and here. So I'm expecting this actually to continue that particular way. But keep in mind that if you do that, you may miss out on a couple of good trades, because I don't know if anybody remembers this morning, but NQ literally just dropped out of that box and went down. Okay, so you know the way some of our people that do this do it is they simply go either direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply draw a box by hitting Insert. Okay, now you'll notice that the box is a little bit larger than the other one right now. So I can actually do this like that, for instance. Okay, I can do it over here. I just simply hit Insert. And again, you know, you've got your, you can always put it at the top of the candle. You see what I mean? That's the box right there. And this is the box right here. Okay. And all I have to do is like that. Okay. Now I'll simply set this one up. And notice that that little box, keep in mind that the box that draws on region is not always as big as the white box. Okay. So I'm going to drag it like that. All right, I'm going to do the same thing on gold because I've got my box like so. Okay, you can always look to the left and see where you got like just 2 ticks. You can always make sure that you draw your box a little bit larger if you want to, so that you don't get faked into a short. See where that dot is right there? You know, I would be willing to take more of a chance than just coming straight out of this box if it took this out. You see what I mean? So sometimes you got to look to the left to trade the right, even with this method. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and do the box on YM. And we'll just simply, by the way, you can always get your chart big like this if you need to. All right, so let's go Looking to the left, trade to the right. There's a little swing right there. And it's pretty much even with my box anyway. See that? See where the box is? But see how this is just a tick down right here? I always look to the left to trade the right. See, that's one tick out of that box. So I would draw my box like that instead. Okay, and then simply turn that on. And then we'll just turn on the clock and see what we get. Bear with me a second. I got some questions coming in, but I got my question log backwards. Okay. Changing directions would be reversing, yes. Now, keep in mind that if this was to get short and all of a sudden it popped up through it and started heading up, that would reverse the trade if you wanted it to. Okay, turn on NQ and GC. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. There we go. We're ready on all of them. And that's what some of our people actually do. Now, keep in mind that 4, 4, 4, 4, and 4 is 20 contracts. Okay? Maybe that's not something that you can do. Maybe 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2, or something like that would be what you would be interested in doing. Okay? Now, notice that my 10, 10, and 10 are all on top of each other, right? I mean, even though that looks like just one line, that's actually 3 lines. I can separate them if you want to see them. See there? Okay, we'll wait for the others. We'll wait for gold. Even see how gold's just creeping up there. You know, you could even turn on power meter as far as that goes, you know, instead of the box if you wanted to. But tonight we're going to talk about just boxing in, how to trade these with boxing in. See why we don't do this in the room, everyone? See how big Object Trader is on these charts? We just can't do that in the room. There would be no way I could see the swings and call the trades as easily. That's why we have to have Object Trader just on our own trading charts and stuff like that. Okay? Let's see what we get here. Not even counting hardly any coin just yet. It's 8:01. Notice this one hasn't even gotten in it yet. Or actually it might have. It might have over here, didn't it? Is it in it? No, it's not, because we drew the box. Oh, that's right. We drew the box at 750 something. So obviously this had already happened there. That's true. Okay, let's just wait. I'll speed it up to about 5 times. Hopefully it doesn't mess something up. And like I said, also, you can keep in mind, if you see, looking to the left to trade the right, and you see over here, for instance, that you want this to go up above this swing before you get long, you can always drag your box even in real time. See this right here? I would probably want that to at least break that. See how Russell just broke? NQ's getting ready to. It hadn't yet. Look how oil's checking that top. Now, will it reverse? We'll find out. Okay, there's your profit target on NQ. You've already got profit target on NQ. You could always bring your stop just above the swing if you want to for your runner. Okay, same thing with Russell. You could bring it just above this area right here. You know, you're going to be able to use stealth and things like that too if you want. Gold is also long. See how well that can actually work? It's pretty amazing. You do close, MG, on your question. You really want to do close because, you know, they'll fake you out otherwise. This was actually today, by the way. And Friday also did its thing. Looky there. Okay, look at your total P&L, by the way. See there? Now, that's not a bad way to actually do things, and that's what some of our people do all the time. Okay? And let's just see, let's turn on some trail stops to give an example if you want to, or we can just let this do its thing. You know, I can bring it at least like above the swing. I can bring it above the swing. That's above that swing. We'll bring this one below this swing. As soon as it breaks higher, we'll put it here on gold. Okay. Now notice, to change this to long, it would have to take out the literal top of this thing. Now we're not feeling as much on this one. We got $170, but we're down to one contract too. Okay. Now you could have already taken your coin, by the way. Okay, because you know this is real type stuff where the market opens, they check where it opens, and then a lot of times they'll roll on over. We even called this trade this morning in the room. I think it pretty much hit right across here where the swing is, like this, and then rolled over. But we don't care because we're still in the trade and it's doing fine. Keep in mind that oil, I called 48.09 on it this morning, and your runner literally went below 48.09. Okay? So this particular way of trading, and the thing about it is you could stop it at any given moment. I mean, if you looked, for instance, at your positions, okay? See, you're showing like $10 down on this one here. On your one left, you're showing $80 down on the gold right there, 40 now. So you've always got your totals here, and you could simply flatten everything just with a touch of a button. You can look at your account, see what it's at. Okay, everything can be done. See how you can. You don't even have to have the little panel on Object Trader if you don't want to. Okay, if you want to see the account, for instance, here's your account right here. This is on replay, keep in mind, and it's up $760 realized. Okay, and then you've got an additional this much going on to it. Okay, and Object Trader will tell you how much you're at on the total P&L. See there, the account P&L. Okay. Now keep in mind that if you just thought, you know what, that's enough for me, then right click and flatten everything. It'll shut Object Trader off totally. Okay. That's another thing. Now Greg says he does not let a big profit go against him at all. So what he does, like right now, for instance, your break even would be right here. Okay. You could go ahead and put your stops at break even, you know, wherever you got in the trade. And you could even use the break even trigger as far as that goes. Now gold I wouldn't yet because it's, you know, it's not done its thing yet. You should have your stop underneath here by now. But what he's talking about, he doesn't like to give up coin and goes ahead and brings his stops closer to break even. Now, I've found that a lot of times if you give a trade a good run with a little more lenient, especially when you're up big time, because see, right now we're only writing one contract per chart, except for gold. Gold has not hit a target yet. Okay, but if you look at your totals, you'll see that you're up approximately 1100 and something. Okay, now that one flattened. Notice that. Now see, that cost a person a little bit of money, because I would probably hit this again, because see how it did lightning? I would probably hit it again because that was too tight. You see what I mean? And notice how I kicked the money up big time by doing that. Okay. And this is why it really went up. Remember gold today? Gold already flattened. It already hit all targets. Okay. Now, are we saying that this particular way of trading will work every single time? I think Greg and I have talked about this, and I think he uses it about 70% of his trading is what he uses with the open of the market. Now, contrast that with the open of the market with NQ and the equities and everything, and you get whipped around quite a bit. Let's just go ahead and flatten this because I'm going to show some other things. We'll flatten everything. When you flatten everything, by the way, it even takes Object Trader off the charts. Okay. Now, if you do that, keep in mind that Object Trader is still on the chart. It's just not loaded. See there, all I have to do is load it. Okay. Wow, what is that? Something came on. I must have had, oh, I know what it is. It's Trump's address. That's what it is. I had that on to the side and it came on with volume. Sorry about that. Okay. Everybody see, though, how you can use something like this? Because look at that total profit. Would that not be a bad way to trade? Now, let me show you, though, what NQ does most days. Okay. Now, keep in mind that if you boxed in 831, you could have literally been short out of the box. That was a beautiful trade, by the way. Okay. Notice you could be short again out of the box. You could have been short again here, but you flipped here. You see what I mean? Because that's your box. If you want to trade the open, that is. Okay. This is the 8 o'clock open. This is the 831 open, and this is the 832 open. Now notice the way if you traded NQ with the 832, I recommend the 832 more than the 831s. It's too fast after the bell. Okay. And for instance, if you were looking at this in real time, I would be watching this. Let's say that I was watching this in real time. I'd be watching this. I'd be seeing this. I wouldn't want to go long unless it took out that swing right there. See what I mean? And then you could easily get your short out of your box. Okay? Because it's still real important to watch your swings. And we got that trade this morning. I know everybody caught this trade this morning because we called it. And it was a good trade too. Okay? At the open of the regular equity market, though, I want to draw some lines on this chart. And I want to show you how fast they actually move, how many bars they print. This is why so many people end up giving up some of their coin, because they trade. Let's say, for instance, let's just go the first 5 minutes. I'll go over here to 5. This is 5 minutes of the market open is all. Right there, because that's 836. Now that's 5 minutes technically. Let me bring this over here a little bit further, because as I spread it out, the time shows more exact. Bear with me a second. What happened? There we go. All right, everybody see that? How many bars print in just that 5 minute period? This is that period where you want to get kind of in and out, because especially with NASDAQ, I don't know if we can have a bar counter or whatever, but you can see that's a lot of bars. Okay. But notice how if you traded the open, you were short. I called this trade out. I know everybody should remember this because I used Lightning 1 and this trade went out right here. I'll draw it. Remember, Charles was using mid-band, which is fine. Let me see if I can draw that with more blue on it. Yeah, not really. But anyway, you can clearly see that Lightning was, remember the webinar last week, identified Lightning, thrust, retrace, thrust, never, it's double bottom, so your swing's way up here, thrust down, this is your identified swing, pops up, pulls down, closes below, that's your identified swing, pops up, pulls down, that's your identified swing. Remember the little double bottom we got this morning? Well, we didn't get out here because we thought it could still keep going down. Remember, we even talked about using stealth as your stop. But for sure, when you saw this thing take out this swing here, your last contract was off the table for sure. Okay, and then we didn't go long here at this particular time. We also called this little trade here. But look how you draw your box, and you could have been short on this trade to begin with, right? Because it actually did. It did a beautiful little short. Remember? See there? So if you want to use these boxes, and keep in mind that once we get Time Trader really working the way it's supposed to, you're going to be able to go in here to strategy. You're going to be able to click on Object Trader. You're going to be able to go up to the time setting. See, this is the same thing we've got in the room, and you'll simply say, okay, I want 4 tick offset. I want a zone opacity of 4, just like the other one. And then you just set it for 0759. And when we get this thing working the way we want it to work, this will automatically print that box just like that, but it'll already be green, and we're going to have a way to already have it live too. I think we're going to have it set up to where we can put the parameters in here, or some type of a template or something where you can actually tell it to be live. That way when you load them on your charts, when 759 comes, it'll trade however many contracts you have it set for, just automatically. And you could have it set for start short enabled, start long enabled. You know, see this right here, you'll notice that we've got set to false. The reason for that is because regions are live now. Okay, and with region being live, you don't want this set to true, okay, because when you put it on your chart, they're set to true up here. Bear with it a second, it's NQ. NQ is the longest loading chart even on a super fast computer. All right, see how region, if we were to be trading this, to give an example, and this was already live with time, that would be a live chart, and that would fire a trade if that closed above that box. So that's why we have these set to false automatically. Now, when we all go to time trade, we want these to be on more than likely. Okay, because I find that, you know, that works pretty well. It's pretty amazing. I mean, if you looked at the 8 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and turn those off. If you looked at that 8 o'clock right there, wasn't that a monster move? All the way down, all the way down. Could you have gotten out when we even called the double bottom? By the way, does anybody remember why I called that double bottom? Do you remember a line being drawn on our chart right there? Look to the left, trade the right, and you'll see, whoa, look at that. That was your high, your low, your higher high. Isn't that unreal? And what did they do? After all this checking, they decided to go down and check that swing. Was that your identified medium swing, everyone, from what I taught last week? It was. Does that mean we couldn't short it way up in here, obviously, like this box? No. But amazingly, they bounced right off of it. See there? They bounced right off that line. We had that drawn in the room this morning because that was actually a pretty killer trade for anybody to get out of their trade. You could also keep in mind, remember I also mentioned in the room today, when they thrust, you can get out very quickly also. You can also draw trend lines on your chart. You know, if you saw something like this in real time and you wanted to draw this, could you get out when it breaks this? You know, something like that? Yeah, you could. You know, could you draw it different and even draw it from these tops and swing it up here like this and still get out? Yeah. You know, because what was it doing? It was thrusting down, retrace, thrust down, and then it broke to the upside. Now, like I said, we didn't go long here. Could have gone long here because I even called it this morning and said it was going to bounce off support, and it bounced off support. Okay. Anybody have a question so far about trading boxes like this? Because this can make a difference, I believe, in your trading. Now, let's see, if a trade triggers, then it goes against you and you have reverse on, then will it reverse before it hits stop? No. Well, it could, yes, Carl, on your question. Let me show you how it would reverse, okay? That's a very good question, thank you. Let me show you. Let's say that you were trading this right here. All right, and I'm going to draw the box over it so you'll see it nice and big. Remember, I like to look to the left, so I would have actually drawn my box more like that. Okay, or at least to here. You see what I mean? So that, in other words, if it took it out of the box and then popped here, I would probably get out to begin with. But if you had this set to reverse, let's say it fired here on this bar, okay? Or it would have fired, pardon me, it would have fired here because our box would have been on the close of the bar. So you would have been in short on that bar. That one right there, okay? So if this was to reverse, let's say that you had a 12 tick stop and it was here possibly. We'll have to measure that to see where 12 ticks is. Bear with me a second. Because that's a good question. Okay, you're at 5,800, so it'd have to be at 5,803. Is that 5,803 up there? Yeah. So basically, your stop would have been, more than likely inside the box. So you may have gotten stopped before you got a reverse. Okay, because keep in mind that you didn't get filled till probably right here, a tick under this bar that closed. So you got probably filled right here. You felt a little bit of heat. Okay, but it didn't take it back out. But what if this would have done this, bounced off this support here and done A, B, C, D, E, and so on? Then yes, it would have reversed above that box. Okay, because if your region is set to reverse, okay, then let's say that this had triggered here, it would never trigger back to the other side until it took out the actual box that was drawn with the region. Okay. Now, one thing I want to highly recommend here, though, in fast markets, okay, be very careful doing something like this because, for instance, if you put on 4 contracts and this was to come out of this and then all of a sudden reverse really quickly, okay, let's say that you had it drawn like this and for some reason this was a good support area and they just shot it right through the top of the box like gold did, you could literally be down with 4 contracts, $500 pretty easily because, you've seen them shotgun, right? Absolutely. Let's see if your stop is outside the box and you have reverse enabled, it will reverse it to close out the other side. Correct. So in other words, let's say that I put my stop. Let's just pretend my stop's way up here even. We don't even care. It would reverse it if it took out the top of this box that's drawn. Okay. So for instance, if you got short with the white box and you drew it exactly like it is, then you would have gotten short here. You didn't get stopped out. It never reversed and it went down. Okay. Let's see if a trade triggers. Let's see that I got that one. How do I change default contract setting from 3? I need to increase. Okay, Alfie, on your question, let me show you that. We defaulted the object trader with 3 contracts, but anybody that wants to trade more than that or less than that, simply go to object trader, click it to false so this all turns black, like so. All right, then where it says quantity, max quantity, that's per chart. Okay, this only tells me that I can't go above 10 contracts on this chart. If you wanted 3 on there, you just simply right click, set it as your default. Okay, but if you do want more, Alfie, to give an example, let's say you want 4, just set it at 4, right click, set it as your default. Then it can never go above 4 even if you have touch set. Now keep in mind with touch oscillating around a region, if I had this set for 10 contracts, and let's just pretend that this region right here had touched here, and keep in mind that even on forming this bar right here, this could actually have touched it here, okay, touched it again when it went back in, touched it again here. So if I had this set for, say, 3 contracts and I had 10 max, I could already be at 10. You see what I mean? So be very careful with that touch like that, because touch simply means touch. Here's your little region. Let's just pretend we had it set exactly like the region was, just like that. All right, and let's just look at it. All right, not closed, but let's say you had touch. Let's just say you had touch plus 1, fired 3 contracts. Probably fired 3 more, possibly, maybe not on that one because it might have to close, might have to touch outside the box, but it definitely would there, and it might have even done it twice. See what I mean? Because your bar started. Everybody knows how a candle works, right? It started here, it wicked down, and it ended here. Okay. So what happened on this particular one, if you had touch on, you would have 3 contracts here, you would have 3 contracts here, okay, and then when it went back into the box, see where it's inside, and touched outside again, you would have 3 more. Okay, so you'd have to be careful. It depends how this actually did. You know it opened here. It may have ticked down, back up. See what I mean? Because touch is touch. You know, you don't know how many times it's going to touch that box. So I would highly recommend being very careful with touch until we get touch actually to where we put a time interval or something, because I don't want, most times, I don't want 3 contracts here and then 3 more here when it touches back outside again, because I could have 9 total contracts here. And then what if it went against me and I ended up, well, with 9 contracts, you can be down pretty quick. Okay, the new version will turn off when the first touch is taken. It's supposed to already do that, Kenneth, but it doesn't. That's why I've warned people about that. But the close works fine. So I would recommend using close, you know, for now. Okay, and keep in mind, if you don't even use Object Trader, you could still watch the box. And for instance, see, this was 759. You didn't get a trade here. You got your trade right there. Okay, and that was easily a 10-tick trade. Easily a 10-tick trade. Okay, let's see if I'm missing any questions. Still won't change from 3. It will, Alfie. Let me walk you through it exactly. Okay, let me go to the edge of the chart. Right click and go to strategies. You can even remove it totally, just put it back on. All right, and then when you scroll up here, now watch, if I set this at 4 and I click OK, you'll notice that I cannot go over 4 contracts. Let me just show you here real quick. I should have picked something but NQ's got a lot of bars. All right, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, I can't go to 5. See there? Now, with 4, even if I start with 1, it can end up with a total of 4. If it hits a target, for instance, let's say that you had 4 set and it hit a target, well, it could go for another one until it equals 4 again. You see what I mean? So you got to be careful with that also, because, you know, let's say that you had traded over here just like we did this morning. All right, and let's just say right here, bear with me a second, at the open, let's say that you had gotten in here. Okay, let's say you did 4. Well, you hit 1 target already right in here. You probably hit a second target here. Okay, so you had 2 contracts that were already taken off, so you only had 2 left. All right, it didn't take out your stop. See what I mean? Because we used our stop just like we teach it. And then you hit the 3rd contract here and probably the 4th contract here. See what I mean? But if you had Object Trader set for like a different type of trade, it could keep adding again. For instance, you could have even added in here. Let's say, for instance, you got in 4 here and you hit 2 targets. Well, it went back in the box and came back out of the box, didn't it? Right here. So you would add 4 more, but you already had 2, so it could only add 2. That gets a little confusing, right? Because I'll just walk through it. Let's say that you had the box drawn and you get filled. Okay. If you had 5 and 10 set, for instance, you would have already hit 2 full targets. But when it went back into the region, if this was turned back on, now keep in mind that this did turn off. When it gets in the trade, it does turn off. You would have to turn it back on. Okay, but if you did turn it back on, you could have gotten in more contracts again. Okay, but it would only add up to your total. Now let me change that to 10 and I'll show you that you can actually do as many as you tell it to. All right, I'm going to go to 10 here instead. All right, right click, set it as my default, go to true. All right, now you'll notice instead of just 4 here, I can go all the way to 10. And that just means a constant 10. It can never go over 10. But remember a minute ago I couldn't go above 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Can't go to 11. See there? Can't go to 11. That's all that means, is that that's your max number of contracts at any given moment. If you've hit targets and you've got something set to take another trade, it can max out at your total max again. That's why touch can be dangerous to your trading if you're not careful, because touch, when you draw a box, just like I was showing a minute ago, and it touches outside, it goes back inside, touches outside again, goes back inside, touches outside again. It could do that literally in a matter of seconds, and you could end up being at your total 10. If you are at a close of a bar, it could close, come down or whatever, then go back in and close again, and you could get in your max again, but it will turn off with close. Okay? All right? You want to see it like in real time to give an example? Let me just show you. Let's see here. Let's just box this one in for the fun of it. Bear with me a second. We'll box in with a region. There we go. And let's see, we're long. Let's just go ahead and set it for even a reverse just in case, just to show you how it actually works. Okay. Notice how I didn't get my box drawn to my swing, although it would have gotten it in anyway. But see, now we're down 150 on this one. If this does take out this little swing, it will reverse the trade. Now, of course, keep in mind that's 10 contracts, so we wouldn't normally do that. But let's just watch it. Doing okay on the trade, aren't we? Doing okay. Got some targets, not too shabby. I'd probably put my stop. Now, keep in mind that you can move this in real time if you want to. And if it takes out this little swing here, you could actually reverse that trade also. Remember how we draw these boxes in the room or draw the lines? Watch it reverse. See there? See, it'll actually reverse it in real time. Now, how did I know to actually do that? Because it double topped up there and I drew me a little box. Now, keep in mind, I would probably get out of this trade like right down around this area right here, and probably this area right here. Okay, but see how that box can work like that? Now, keep in mind that, you wouldn't be doing short 10 contracts at this time. That would be ludicrous, actually. Okay, now watch if I do 10 again. It will not add them. See if this closes outside here. See, it closed out. No more contracts. The reason for that is because I've got a max set at 10. Okay? Now, if I'd had a max set at 4, it would never go over 4. That turns out to be a decent little trade, double topped again. Let's see, still won't change contract max quantities. I'll have to look at that, Alfie. It definitely should, because it doesn't change anything here. You just have to set it for however many you want. See, now I can't go above 10, but I can go to 10. See what I mean? Now, see, I've got 2 in right now. Let's just see if this will do it again. Let's go ahead and take our little swing down there. Now watch it. It'll add as many as 10 only, but not 12. Now, keep in mind, this may not close, but there it did. See there? 10 contracts. Okay, it won't go over 10 because it can't go over 10 because I set my max quantity at 10 contracts. Okay? Anybody have any questions on how to box in? How to use the particular tools that we got here? Because they're actually pretty cool. If you get out of some contracts, to give an example, let's say, for instance, that it's already heading down, so I won't do it. But see, I'm in 4 contracts right now, right? Well, what if I decided if this goes lightning long to the upside and I wanted to go ahead and go long? I could certainly do that by simply doing my box. We're flat now, so we won't be able to reverse it. But let's say that it takes out lightning and I decide I want to just do, you know what? Let's just go for 10 ticks total if it takes out lightning 1. I can do that. Absolutely. Because keep in mind that there's 4 trends on this chart. If it breaks this little swing to the left, it is no longer heading down, as far as my micro trend, that is. Okay? And could I actually trade that like that? And the answer is yes. See, watch, see if we can get something. See there? Just got something. Took out lightning. Not a bad little trade at all, right? That's what I love about this new box, because you can flat use that little box to your heart's content the way you like to personally trade, because it's live on the chart and it'll do what you want it to do. You remember the trade we called in the room later on? I'm pretty sure it was about this time range. See where you have lightning on this chart? Let's just watch this for a minute and I'll show you how to use this box. You got support right down here, right? See if it bounces. See if we can get a lightning drawn. Should have drawn it right here. We could have gotten us a nice little trade. I'm going to go ahead and draw it like this right here and this right here. And the reason, by the way, you could also draw it right here. Well, I've already missed it. Would have been right there. Let's see if we get something. Now, if you were looking the way we teach in the room and everything, I'd probably not take that, boxing it in, until it takes that out. And I probably wouldn't take it long unless it took that out. Can you do a webinar on exactly what we are seeing when background is pink, but you are taking longs? Well, the reason for those longs like that, keep in mind that we're talking about within the first 15, 20 minutes of the market. That first 15, 20 minutes of the market, you can do about what you want to do, because the market does quite well for that. Okay, remember this trade we called in the room this morning? Anybody remember it right here? We drew a box like this right here. We said we'd take this either direction. Matter of fact, I didn't personally until see your thrust retrace. That's actually heading down, right? High, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high. Takes that out, you'd probably be short. I just missed it. By the way, you can follow it if you want. See there? That's the beauty of this little box. Now, keep in mind, I just did that for the fun of it, but notice how it actually will still fire that trade if you want it to. Now, that's not the way you do it. You'd want to do it right under here, just like we teach. But I missed that one, so I just chased it. And we don't recommend chasing, by the way. But we got that big trade this morning. It was a monster. Okay, let's see. We got about 2 minutes to go. What does everybody think about using the boxes? Because those boxes work. And wouldn't it be nice to just be nicely green and, you know, not be all frustrated? Maybe trade the bouncy part of the market and sim for a little bit. And just think, wow, I've already got my, you know, 500 or $1,000 or whatever. You know, because keep in mind that those 5 charts we just did a little while ago hit, what, $1,700, $1,800 if I remember right. Now, will it do it every day like that? It seems to work pretty well, I can tell you that. Market opens of any kind are good. We're probably looking at Time Trader in a couple of more weeks, Kenneth. What the program is working on right now, we're going to actually have a button that'll take this panel totally off and go to a separate panel that you're going to be able to start doing controls over, like stealth, to give an example. We're starting with stealth. So in other words, if you were on stealth and you click a little button, I don't know where it's going to be exactly, but this is going to all blank out and you're going to be able to tell stealth exactly how you want it on that chart in real time. And for instance, if it then does what you want it to do, you can just simply fire the trade and you know, get that stealth type trade like that. See, I just got that one just now. I just turned on stealth. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. Okay, any final questions? We're right at 8 o'clock. Hope everybody enjoyed it. You'll find that boxing in and watching those opens and everything can be really, really good for your trading. And we're supplying the tools so people can do this every single day of their lives and get nicely green, because that's the whole goal of the thing, right? Is getting nicely green. Remember this trade we called this morning? You want to just follow it down. Now we're already out of it, so it's no big deal, but I want to just show you how you'll even get out of the trade. See where you got a little swing right across there? Did it hold so far? So far. We'll see. See there? See how it held? And then just follow your lightning. Watch it as it goes down. See there? Couldn't you just keep following this thing down? I mean, was there any reason to get out of this trade, anyone? Absolutely not. See, you've got a swing right across here. You're getting another yellow bar probe. Remember these trades this morning? I'm sure y'all remember them because they were pretty awesome. Could you box that in, or just, let's just say that we just grab just a real quick one. Let's just see if it works. Stops above here. Now, granted, I wouldn't do 10 contracts, obviously. And that one stopped me. Let's see if we can get it again. There, it just went underneath. The reason I'm doing that, by the way, is because of little boxes that we talk about in that room all the time. And then I'd probably close that puppy out. See it right down there at the bottom? Especially when that went above the mid band. Okay? How do you make the decision to stay in when the PM turns green, but it stays under the mid band? Well, keep in mind with like NQ, to give an example, what you want to be really careful of is getting out of trades too often, because you can ride these things down a long, long ways. Okay? See right here, for instance, that was a double bottom, right? Was that your identified swing right here? The answer is no, right? So you look to the left to trade the right, and you're looking over here is your identified swing instead, and look how they just barely touched it. See there? That's your identified swing right there where that line's at. They wicked it and they rolled over. Okay? But you'll know when they change trends, because if you've been to, our webinars, for instance, well, look at this right here. You got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low, and you got a higher high. Could this be a trend change? Possibly. It could be, couldn't it? We actually called that in the room this morning, because if I remember right, this was a low, a high, and a higher low. Would I take this trade like right here? No. No, I absolutely would not. But once it breaks this and consolidates around mid-band, if it does it, I would. Let's see what it looks like. I'll run it fast and see if we can get it. See if we can get it. That still went down some more. That was still awesome to the downside. All you had to do is box them in at these predictors and everything. Let's see if we can catch a trend change, though, just for the fun of it. Remember, that's why you don't go long until you find out that it's truly a trend change. But it'll finally come. Okay, that was a double bottom again. Let's see what it does. So you got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low again. Let's see if we take out our high. Taking out your high, right? Taking out your high. Now what we want them to do is come back down this area and kiss it. And I'd be jumping in it probably right about there and see if we get a little profit. You keep in mind, I'm not going to normally do 10. Obviously, there's where it perfectly bounced off the line. See if we can get it. Bingo. See how I could tell that was a trend change? Everyone, low, high, higher, low. They took out that high, just like Charles teaches. And look how it came perfectly down to my line that I drew. Would that have been a good trade? Absolutely. Now, keep in mind that we're only doing this just real quick to show how fast, and since I had 10, I'm not going to stay in it, obviously, because you could draw this down very quickly. But would you be out of this trade until right here, as a matter of fact? See your high, your low high? Right there. You could be out of that trade and you wouldn't have to be trading this right this very moment, right? That's the way it works. Now you've got a trend change, don't you? See, power meter went green here. I think we called that trade in the room this morning too. I'm pretty sure. Let's see if we can get it. Well, it already got it. I'm going 150 times, so it's pretty quick. Everybody see that green predictor right there? That was a perfect long trade, by the way. And how would you have gotten it? Thrust retrace, broke lightning, right? And off you go. All right, let's go ahead and wrap. I ran about 6 minutes over. Let's see, looking at PM3, I could have been, that's true. Do you have 3 minutes for a quick team viewer, Alfie? Yes, I can do that for you here in just the next couple of minutes, as a matter of fact, just as soon as I shut this down. All right, we'll see everybody in the morning, and have a great evening. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And isn't it great that markets don't move as fast as I got it moving right now? If you see markets moving like this, now keep in mind it's only moving like this because I've got it turned up. But if you see markets moving this quickly, don't trade it. You'll end up losing instead of gaining, because by the time you get in the trade, you're getting in too late and all that. If it's nice and slow, methodical, you can get in. You know, for instance, if you box this in right here, could you have gotten that trade? Yes. Boxes are great. Boxes don't have to be at the open. Boxes can be a lot of times during the day. All right, that's why we designed it. The very first trade that was added to Object Trader over 3 years ago was region. It's the very first one on here. And then after that, we did bar close. I think we did region, time trade, and then bar close and ray. And then since then, I've added PM1, PM2, stealth, wedge, and predictor. Okay, see everybody in the morning. Thanks again. Have a great evening. Alfie, go ahead and give me a call right away if you could, and I'll get that done for you. Thanks, everyone. Good night.